Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday Live. Apologies for the late start as of technical issues. So hopefully it goes without an hitch. Right, so I think I'm good to go. So good morning again. Apologies for the late start.
Good morning, everyone.
So hopefully you guys have had a good week so far. Studying's gone well. So we do a 20 question mock test and a hazard perception demonstration, which is still a massive problem for you guys, based on the study camp this week and the emails I'm getting. So I think I'm set up. Right, if you guys got any questions, theory test related, driving tests, driving lessons, type it in the comment section. But please put a Q semicolon in front of it. It should look like this. It's how it should look is in the comment section. So that's how it should be. Q semicolon. It makes it easier for me to see your questions. Otherwise, it looks like a comment because there's so many of you that come up on here typing away. So I'm just trying to get my comments window up so I can see if anyone's here and what are you actually asking. Let's get this set up properly. Right. So I think we're good to go. Right, so let's do this one. Right, so good morning to you. Welcome. Happy Sunday. Becky Arthur. I've not seen your name before, I don't think. So good morning to you. Welcome. Good morning, Jay Silver. Good morning to you. How are you? Raquel Ford. Good morning to you. Sifi. Good morning. Hopefully I'm saying that. Sifi Sci-Fi. Good morning to you. Good morning. Simply Me. How are you? Long time no see. Hopefully you're well. Good morning to you. Good morning. Bo Tang Benjamin, I've not seen your name before, so welcome. Please explain the difference between pelican, puffin, and toucan. I'll come back to that. Good morning to you, Rebecca. Good morning to you. All right, so let me just do an overview of the theory test first and foremost, because there's a lot of people this week actually asking, I'm about to take my theory test, just like to study, what's the best way to study, how does it work? And I'm thinking, well, why would you book a theory test and then try to work out how to study and then work out how it works? Surely you should do that before you book a test. But anyway, multiple choice, 50 questions. The questions are random. They're taken from 14 different categories. Just in case you don't know, the questions will be worded differently when you go into your real test. The apps are sampled questions. They give you questions so you can practice, get an idea of what the questions will be like and what you're looking for. So I repeat, the questions on the apps are sampled questions. When you go for the real test, they will be worded slightly differently, and there may be questions that you have never ever seen before. But I'll repeat, they're taken from 14 different categories. The best way to study is to do the categories individually and make sure you're strong on each category before you move on to the next one. Do all 14 and then go and do the 50 questions on your apps, because the 50 questions is drawing from those 14 categories. What most of you are doing, just diving, doing mock tests, and it doesn't give you a true reflection of your mock test score, because obviously if they're asking questions on for categories that you haven't studied, don't know the answers to, obviously your scores are going to be low. So the best way to study is to do individual categories, then do mock test. And if you're using the 4-in-1 app, which is what I recommend, 4-in-1, otherwise known as driving test success, it gives you your strengths in terms of categories, your weakness, and obviously if you've got a weak category, you go back and restudy that, then do another mock test. The time that you got to do the test is 57 minutes. Some of you are still doing it in 15, 20 minutes and failing and wondering why, because it's too quick. That's the reason why. If you're doing it in 15, 20, don't get me wrong, it's possible to do it in 15, 20 minutes and pass, but it's also possible to do it in 15, 20 minutes and fail. You should be breaking down the question, breaking down the answers. The chances of you passing doing it in 15, 20 minutes are slim. Can it be done? Yes. Should you be doing it? No. But you got to do you. Common sense, use some common sense. There's questions on there about how to avoid wheel spin on ice and snow, for example, and people who drive fast. You don't walk fast in ice and snow, you walk slowly, so then you drive slowly, stuff like that. So use some common sense in some of the answers. You don't need driving experience in some of the answers, you just have to use a little bit of common sense. And then once you've got to be working it out, in terms of once you've done that, you go into the hazard perception, 14 videos, which is your hazard perception. You need 44 out of 75. 13 of those videos have developing hazards, and one of them's got 2 developing hazards. I will do a demonstration to show you how to beat the system and what to look for on that. In terms of answers, what you're looking for is safety. The answer has to lead to safety. If it doesn't, it's going to be wrong. If it doesn't lead to safety, then it's got to be control. But if it doesn't lead to control or safety on your theory test, it's going to be a fail. There's no ifs or buts about that. But on the driving test, that's what the examiner looks for as well: safety, control. And your theory test is no different. If you do struggle with your theory, because you've taken it multiple times, I do a study camp where we do a week, Monday to Thursday, we do live, I call it live workshops, where I break it down different. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we go through different topics and break it down in fine details, all recorded. So if you can't attend, you can watch the replays, and I do it every week, so you've got access to come every single week if you want, with some people are doing every single week, every single day, and that choice is yours. And then we do a live workshop on Wednesdays and at the weekends. We've done one yesterday for a couple of hours where we did discuss multiple choice and hazard perception yesterday. And those live reviews is where I go into your Theory Test Pro account, because you're logged into my account, where I can see how you studied, how long you studied for, the questions you're getting wrong, and I can guide you personally on how to improve and what to study next. So if you're interested in that, the link is in the description, and you have access to that until you pass as well. So it's not a case of just, as much as you call 30-day study camp, the 30 days is the sweet spot. You should be ready to take a test within 30 days. But life gets in the way. If you've got to take longer, so be it. It's not a problem. You still have access to all information and material in there. So, let's just, always shouting at me. No problem with that. Passed my theory test yesterday, Saturday. Well done to you, Valentine's. 49 out of 50, missed it by 1, the magical 50. And 70 out of 75, wow, that's amazing. 5 short of a full house, that's brilliant. Well done to you, congrats. Thank you for letting me know that you passed it. So now on to your driving. Good morning to you. The last time I took my test, I got 45 out of 50, so your pass hazard was for 1. Yeah, hazard perception, like I said, it's coming bigger now. It used to be just the questions, but most of you are struggling with the hazard perception. 36. If you got 36 on the real test, that suggests you don't know what hazard is, because that score's low. If you got 42, 43, it just needs a little bit of fine tuning. But if you've got 36, that suggests you don't know what a hazard is, hence why you got 36. So you're either clicking well late or well too early. But your paperwork shows you, gives you a breakdown of how many zeros, ones, twos, because with that score, you definitely got lots of videos under 3. So what you want to do is double check to see what the breakdown is. If it's lots of zeros, yeah, it's because you don't know what hazard is, so you need to revisit that. But I will do a demonstration, explain it at the end. Could you give highlights on reflective studs? I'll come back to that. Good morning to you. V, good morning, first time commenting live. Thank you for commenting, welcome. You passed your theory test a little while ago, so we'll see. We'll see. Joe Allen, good morning to you. How are you? Long time. Oh, well done to you. Passed your driving test now. So again, you were a driver. Wow. Long time coming as well. And stressing. Trust me, that's the easy part, finding a car. Because you've got so much to choose from, and it's a buyer's market out there. It depends on what you want to go for, but it's a buyer's market. So well done to you. Congrats. 'Cause I know you struggled a little bit as well. So well done. Proud. 4-in-1 has most of the categories locked. Is there what I the 4-in-1 app has most of the categories locked. Is there what I should do? You got the free version. That's why it's locked. If you paid for it, $4.99, it's not locked. But if you paid for it and it's locked, you need to contact them, because I don't see how it's locked. But if you've gone for the free version, yeah, it's going to be locked. You should have paid $4.99 for it. What I've achieved is joining Dorms for AD. Study camp. I'm now well invested in God bless you. Not a problem, patience. You need to come to the live sessions though, because we're not seeing you for the last couple ones. Wednesday, Saturday, you wasn't there. So I need you to join. I need you to come in so we can work on the hazard perception. It's easier for me to do it live in the sessions. And like I said at the beginning, that's what we did for the last 2 Saturdays. That's what we've worked on, is literally hazard perception. So everyone's on point. You probably don't know as well, Yoli passed her theory test. If you remember her from the sessions, she struggled because she's got disability. She passed her theory test last week as well. So everyone was so proud of her, do you know what I mean? Because having a disability and her turn up on every single session as well, she got the results she worked on. Come and join us on Wednesday. The link is in the description. All right, let's start the mock test, because that's why you guys are really here. Let me just do this one because this looks good. Good morning, Dorian. Silent Watcher here. Silent Watcher, thank you for breaking the silence. Passed my theory test first time on Friday. Well done to you, 48. Missed it by 2. 48 out of 50. But well done, 66. No problem, you are welcome, and thank you for breaking the silence, and thank you for letting me know that you passed your theory test. So let me share my screen. For those of you that are new, we read the question. What information would be shown in a triangle road sign? Look at the diagrams if there's a diagram there or image. And this is question 1. So if you think this is A, sorry, I should start with that. A, this is B, this is C, and then this is D. If you think it's 1A, then please put 1A, because the question number needs to tally. There's a delay between me and YouTube, you and YouTube, and you guys are taking effort to type it answering, so I'd like to show it where possible. But if you don't type the question number, I can't show it because I don't know what question it's related to. So hopefully that makes sense. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Shouldn't be able to put it there. Let's try this one. Let's go back to this one. It's not set up properly. Let's do this live. So I'm gonna have to do this live. Just bear with me. Alright, so hopefully it will show the comments right. Okay, right, let's just do, I'll come back to that. For some reason all my scenes are messed up. I've got 1D, 1B. Got C as well. It's interesting. So you guys are really mixed on this. D looks like the common answer, but I've got C's on here. It's interesting. C's decent. I got a B. What information will be shown in a triangle C? Definitely not A. Minimum speed is a blue circle. Ahead only would be blue circle. And road narrows, it's going to be D. Road narrows, warning. I just need to do this. So it's definitely going to be D. What does this sign mean, triangles? Let me just put this down a bit. My scenes are all messed up. There you go. So hold on 1 sec. I just need to do something here. That's way too small. Try this. Alright, I got my theory booked for the 7th of March, feeling fairly confident, been revising every day. As long as it's quality studying, just because you're studying every day doesn't mean say you're taking information in. I wish you luck on the 7th of March, by the way. So you're about 3 weeks, give or take. But just because you're studying every day, it doesn't mean to say you're taking that information in. So just make sure it's quality studying with that as well. Because you can do too much studying, by the way. So just be careful with that. Right, so let me just go back to finding the twos. I will get to you guys' questions in a moment because I reset my computer yesterday and I just realised all my scenes are messed up, so I need to get those sorted out while I'm live. So I apologise for that. Good morning to you. Test is on Tuesday the 17th. I wish you luck with the Tuesday. If you've got any questions, type it in while you've got the opportunity. You guys are gone for D. End of dual carriageway on that. So, yep, it's definitely D. I just need to bring that up so I can see where I'm checking. I'll bring that down. Right, you're driving in fog. Why should you keep well back from the vehicle in front? There's a fog question in there as well, someone's asking. Oh, here it is. Please, there's a question that says, what delays your journey the most, fog or rain? Fog, because fog you can't see. So everyone should be driving slowly. Rain you can see. And that's why you got wind wipers. So the answer is fog. Fog delays your journey. All right, let's get to some of your comments. Explain the difference between pelican, puffin, toucan. Explain the difference between pelican, puffin, toucan. First of all, pelican flashes. They're all the same colours going up. That's what I explained in the study camp. So you start from the bottom with images. You should always start from the bottom with your images and work your way up. So you're starting at the bottom, which is green, steady amber, red. So when it asks you what colour comes next, it's easier to understand. And then when you're coming down from red, it's a double red and amber together. But the pelican is the only one that flashes. So when it comes down on its own with flashing amber. So that's a pelican. Puffin is sensors. Someone has to push the button and it senses someone's there. And the toucan is for cyclists and pedestrians. That's what it stands for. Two can cross at the same time. That's the difference. But with the puffin and toucan, the lights colours are the same. But I repeat, pelican flashes amber when it's coming down. Puffin is sensors. Toucan is for cyclists and pedestrians. When I say cyclists, it means cyclists can legally ride across. So two can cross at the same time. Number 3. Right, so you guys all agree on this one. It's all A's. Joe, what type of car are you looking for, by the way? Because you said you're struggling, or I can't remember what the words you used, but what car are you looking for, Joe? When amber light flashes, what should I do? Do I go or stop? Neither. On the theory test, you give way to pedestrians already on the crossing. That's the answer they're looking for. On the driving test, if it's safe, you go. But for the theory test, you give way to pedestrians on the crossing. What did you guys go for A? In case the fog, no. In case broadcast, no. In case change, yeah, that's correct. Right, what will happen? Let's bring that down so you can see. I'm gonna have to do this each question, man. Right, what will happen if you hold the clutch pedal down or roll in neutral for too long? Could you please give a highlight on reflective studs? Can you please give a highlight on reflective studs? Yes. Green studs are for the slip roads. Red studs is hard shoulder. White studs is in the middle lane. And amber studs on the right hand lane near the central reservation. If you don't, on the theory test, they will, if they talk about studs, they're going to give you the color or location. It's one of the two. There's going to be either color or location. Once you work out what the color or location is, just go to the word motorway, isolate RWA as the 3 letters, and that tells you exactly what lane you're going to be in. So I repeat, they will give you location or color, and then once you work that out, go to the 3 letters in the word motorway, RWA, and that tells you which lane you're in. So obviously if it's R, you're in the left lane. If it's W, you're in the middle lane. If it's A, amber, you're in the right hand lane. If that doesn't help, because it's a visual thing, so it's very hard to explain that without the visuals. I've got a video on the YouTube channel. Just type in motorway studs, and that comes about a 2-minute video, and that will explain it in more visual for you. My fairy test is next month on the 18th. Next month, which is March, so you've got about a month, give or take. I don't come on live I only come live on a Sunday. When I said I go live, that's in the study camp. I go live every single week, Monday to Thursday, as a study camp to give the students a bit more detail, because I'm a driving instructor. I do intensive driving courses, and my students on the intensive driving courses do their theory test in 4 days. They take the test on the Friday, so they can go off and book their driving test over the weekend. So my study camp students come in with those students, and we go live Monday to Thursday, but it's not on YouTube. It's just for the group. But I come live on a Sunday, 10 till whenever we finish, basically. Number 4. But good luck on the 18th. And again, if you've got any questions, type them in while we're live. That's what the live is for, to help you out. Right, you guys are gone for B on this. Good luck on Wednesday. Again, if you've got a question, no problem, you're welcome. Someone's gone for an A. If you've got a question, type it into the comment section. Let me help you out before your test on the 18th, I think it was. What will happen if you hold the clutch down? What did you guys go for? B. And someone's gone for an A. B, it will reduce your control. Yeah, on the real test, it could be lack of engine control, lack of engine braking. It's never going to be. Think about what you're saying. What will happen if you hover clutch pedal down or roll in neutral for too long? It will improve tyre wear. How can you improve tyre wear when it's being used? You tell me what it gets improved over time that you're using it. It wears out. Bring that down. Right, your vehicle is stationary. When may you use its horn? Come on, don't just let you know what you're doing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Well done. Passed the theory test on the 21st. 47 out of 50. Has percentage 55. Well done to you. Congrats. Thank you for letting me know that you've passed it. Appreciate it. Come on, I find this really. Fuck. First of all, I'm glad you find it helpful. Thanks for doing this. So these are so helpful. I'm yet to book my test. First of all, I understand that, because again, in the study camp, we've got a lot of people who work night shifts and all the rest of it, and finding hard to find the time to study. As I say to them, sometimes doing just 10-15 minutes quality studying is better than trying to do half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, where it's just cramming. So if you got a lack of time, always try to find 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, where it's quality though, because that's going to be a lot better than studying for 45 minutes and doing multitasking as well, because you're not really learning when you're doing multitasking. You have to be dedicated so you can take and absorb the information in. What I would suggest you do is, because you said you haven't booked your test yet, I don't know when you started to study, because what can happen is you haven't booked your test, you're studying with all the responsibilities that you have. Before you know it, we're going to be August, September, October, November. So there's nothing wrong with being realistic, book a date and then work towards it. And that way you got a commitment. And if you keep it on a cancellation date though, and if you feel that you're not ready as you get closer, just change it. It's not a problem. But if you keep studying, you've got enough no dates, it can go on. And like I said, before you know it, 4 or 5 months have passed and you're still studying. So try to set a date. It makes you a little bit more determined, and you've got a goal set, but which can be changed. But be realistic with it. Don't turn around and say book it for 2 weeks' time if you really got a lot of responsibility. But I wish you luck with that though. What are we on? 5. I'm trying to find the fives. There we are, first one. I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. Roads are... Don't know what you're trying to say there. It's safe to do so. Right, you guys are going for A. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. 5A. Yeah, that's to warn of your presence. Just in case on the real test, they can ask you a similar question. Notice I said similar because the question will be worded slightly differently. And they won't use horn, it'd be lights. When can you flash your lights? And flashing the lights, beeping the horn is the same thing. Warning of your presence. What should you do if you see a pedestrian waiting at a zebra crossing? I don't know if I've done this one. So my test is 7th of March, feeling fairly confident but revising every day. I think I've done that one. Just be careful you don't, just because you've done it every day doesn't take the information in. I think I've done that one. Fog delays your journey, not the rain. My favourite is next month. What time do you come? I think I've done that one as well. So I've been looking at Fords only because they're favourite cars, but I have seen a few monthly payments. I look for 1 litre or possible 1.4 max. I used to do Fords all the time. Ford Puma. I've always had Fords for my driving school car. Fiesta. And then I went to the Focus. I went to the Puma. They're nice cars to drive, easy to look after as well in terms of servicing. There is a shortage of Fords out there at the moment because of lack of parts. When I say parts, as in the microchips and everything else. So if you're looking for a used one, you should be able to get one affordable. You said you've been looking, so you should know. And some of them have got a turbo in it. So the 1 litre 1.2 have got a turbo, which gives you a lot of power as well. So it's something to look at as well. But they're nice cars to drive. I will definitely recommend the Ford. It's only because my leasing company couldn't get Fords anymore, so I had to change to a Peugeot. It's actually a nice car as well, to be fair, but I prefer the Fords. But yeah, I wish you luck with that. Six. Right, I've got a D in there. Good morning to you. I've not seen your name before, so welcome, by the way. What's that say? Sell Miss Gina. Well, welcome either way. I got B's, all B's, apart from the D that was in there. I've got to assume the D was a mistype. I got a C. Interesting. All right, let's take a look. What should you do if you see a pedestrian? Yeah. There's a D. Stop before you reach. Stop before you reach the zigzag. You're stopping too early. Way too early. That's why it's not that answer. And C. Go on quickly. Once you got quickly in the answer, apart from kick down, it's wrong. So it's not even worth reading that. You're approaching traffic lights and the red light is showing. What signal will show next? I gave you the answer earlier on if you when I was explaining puffins, pelicans and toucans. Let's see if you guys get the right answer with that. Good morning to you. Again, I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. Right, let's do some of these. Hi, Dan, my photos next month. I don't know what you mean by that. Watch videos or do it myself. But you got your test next month. I want to ask, what's the best way to learn the highway code? Because I have the 4-in-1 test kit app, I don't know whether to watch videos. You want a combination of watching videos and doing the app. Would I read the highway code? No. I wouldn't read the highway code unless you're looking for road signs. But if you've got the 4-in-1 app, it's got road signs built in. That's why I like the app. It's got everything you need in there. So I would be watching videos and I would be doing the apps to learn both ways. That's the best way to learn. But if you want to read the highway code, it's a book. So you just go through it page by page. There's no special way of learning the highway code. But would I personally be doing that? No. But partly because I got dyslexia, I'm not going to be sitting there reading the highway code. I'm more visual, so app is going to work better for me and videos would work better for me. But you have to do you. But my advice would be watch videos. Obviously my videos and anybody else who's doing the theory out there, and do apps as well, because that's going to give you a real life score in terms of doing it. Husband passes his theory test. Well, first of all, congratulate your husband on passing, and well done to him. So I'm assuming you're here, so you're next. 7. And you guys are gone for A. No problem, you're welcome. Thank you so much for all your videos and tips. I passed first time with 49, missed it by 1. Green Flowers, well done to you. 62, high score. Your videos are so helpful. Appreciate that. Especially coming to the live, because like I said, I've not seen your name before, so thank you for coming to let us know that you passed. I've got a C here. Right, it's all A's, but there's a C in it. Right, you're approaching traffic lights and the red light is showing. Yeah, as I said, is what you want to do with your traffic lights, you go up from bottom to top. With all your signs and images, you should always see it as going from bottom to top, because it makes it easier to understand. So green is at the bottom, amber, steady amber's in the middle, red is at the top. So it's telling you red is showing. So when you come down, the next color is going to be red and amber together. You go up single colors, come down as a double. At an incident, how could you help a casualty who has stopped breathing? So I just want to say is past my theory. Thank you so much for your videos, helped me drastically. You are welcome. Thank you. I've not seen your name before, so thank you for coming to the live and let me know that you passed. Appreciate that. Alright, let's just do some of these comments. Victor Jonathan's passed as well, 45, 50, 55. Thank you for that, appreciate it. Yeah, when you go to the training, patience, if you're still here, when you go to the training platform, Kajabi, you log in The link for Wednesday is always there. It's permanently there because we always do Wednesdays now. That is set for now. If that changes, you'll get an email. And the Saturday link is sent out on a Friday because my weekend changes from week to week. And you should have got email anyway because it went out on Friday. So everybody gets an email and it's an announcement on the dashboard. But the link for the live sessions Monday to Thursday is permanently on the dashboard. And the link for Wednesday is permanently on the dashboard. So you need to log in and pick it up from there. The weekend one is sent out on a Friday. And you can click on that. But you want to check your email. If you didn't get this week's link for Saturday, you want to check your email, your spam box. Oh, right. So you give me the score for the husband. 47 out of 50. 3, missed it by 360. 75 high score. So your husband to come on and give me his regards personally, but congratulate him, by the way. But let him come on next week. Say come on for 2 minutes and say congratulations. Thank you for that. Do that. Oh right, you're doing driving lessons as well. Even better. Definitely set a goal, because you want to be working. What you don't want to do now is drag it out. Where you're ready for a driving test, but you still got to be taking lessons because you haven't passed the theory test. So you're doing driving lessons, so that's brilliant. That's definitely going to help you. So set that goal. Work with your instructor if you have to, because the instructor should be able to help you with the theory as well, because it's all part of the same thing. So definitely be doing that. Number 8. I wish you luck with that, Pod Sophie. Again, if you've got any questions before we sign out today, type them in. And I wish you luck on Tuesday. But please come back next week and let us know how you got on. Got A here. And most of you gone for B, but I got an A. 40 hours. I'm glad the videos helped. Thank you for, again, I've not seen your name before, so thank you for breaking the silence, coming to the live and let me know. Appreciate it. Got C. Yeah, tell him to come on next week. B. Yeah, follow your DRABC routine, which is your first aid routine. They can ask you the individual letters. We do break this down on a Wednesday in our sessions. D stands for assess the danger. R stands for get a response. A is airways. B is check the breathing. C is for circulation, just in case they ask you the individual letters on the real test. Which sign means there will be two-way traffic crossing your route ahead? Right, let's take a look at this. Hold on. I'm confident though the pressure sometimes during the exam can be challenging. The question you have to ask yourself is, where's the pressure coming from? Because normally when a student says that, the pressure's coming from you yourself. So the more you put pressure on yourself, the more it's going to be pressurized. It's just a test. The way that I say to my students, it's going to go one or two ways. You're going to pass it or fail it. Obviously, nobody likes failing. That's where the pressure comes from. If you pass it, happy days, you move on. If you fail it, you got data, so you know what to do next in terms of improvement. So the pressure, like I said, comes from self-within, unless in some cases when I teach, my students need their driver's license for their work. So the pressures come from that environment. But if you're not in that situation, don't put pressure on yourself. Try to be relaxed about it, because it's not the end of the world if you fail it. Because you learn from your mistakes. But I wish you luck with that. Just don't let the pressure get to you. But I do wish you the best of luck. 19th of this month, so it's this week. 16th, yes, this week. I wish you the best of luck. Come back next week and let us know how you got on. But again, if you've got any questions, type it in the comment section before we sign out. I appreciate it, Joe. 9. Got a C. Got another one. I'm always confused with B and C. Can you explain, please? B and C. Yes, I'll explain. I'll make it a lot easier for you in a sec. So B is the common answer. Right, the question, break down the question. So let me get rid of this comment. Which sign means there would be two-way traffic crossing your route ahead? If you took my advice from earlier on in this live session, always see your images going from bottom to top. So you're going from the bottom up. So if you're going from the bottom up, the question says there'll be two-way traffic crossing your route ahead. You're on the one-way road with B, I'm talking about. So if you look at the little cursor, you're at the bottom, you're going up. You're on the one-way road and the traffic is crossing your path. With this C, you're going up with the left arrow and the arrow's coming down. So this is a two-way traffic straight ahead. That's the reason why I say with your images, see yourself going from bottom to top, because when we drive on the left. So if you imagine A, you're going up with the red arrow. So you have to be giving way to oncoming traffic with this one. This one, like I said, you're driving on the left going up, the traffic's coming down. This one, you're on the B. When I say this one, the traffic is, you're on the one-way road going up and the traffic is crossing your path. So that's why it's B. That's why you want to always say to yourself, I'm going up with my images. It makes it easier to understand the images. What will help you move off on a snowy surface? Let me just put the numbers down so you can see where you're at. My test is... My test is soon. I'm nervous, but I have to go with faith. Do well on all mock tests, but I'm scary. Yes, first of all, don't let the nerves control you. You're always going to be nervous. If you're not nervous, then there's something wrong. Being nervous isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing, as long as it doesn't control you, because you need adrenaline pumping to make you think clearly. Secondly, yes, the words are going to be worded differently, but it doesn't make a difference. The outcome is still the same. It doesn't make a difference, because the way that I explain to my students, when I teach in a car, I'll keep it very, very simple, very basic. So I always say it's 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 equals safety from an examiner's point of view. But if you do 3 plus 1, the answer is still the same, safety. If you do 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, it's still the same. So it doesn't make a difference how the question's worded. If you understand it, it doesn't make a difference. If you don't understand it, yes, it's going to make a difference when it's worded. And that's the mistakes that some of you guys make. You do your mock test at home, you're getting the right answers, but you're not understanding why the answer's correct. So when you go for the real test, and it's worded differently, because you didn't understand it, you go for a different answer. I think I mentioned this last week, where I had a student in the study camp where she done a lot of mock tests. The answer that she went for in certain questions was dipped headlights. When she went for the real test, they didn't put the dipped there, they took it out. They just used headlights. She didn't understand what lights were. So she went for a different light altogether, and obviously she got that wrong. And that's the difference between passing and failing. Where dipped headlights and headlights are the same thing. But if you understood that, then it doesn't make a difference how it's worded. So as long as you understand the question and answer, then you've not got a problem if it's different. But don't let the nerves control you. So the fear is always going to be there on your theory test and on your driving test. So I wish you luck with that though. You don't say when your test is, you just say soon. Yeah, just my only advice is make sure you understand why the answer is what it is with that. So, are we on 10? Someone's gone for a C. Another one. Another one. Right, I've got to assume B is correct because that's the majority, but you guys are gone for C as well. Let's take a look. Right, the question, what will help you move off on snowy surface? B, using higher gear than normal. C, use the lowest gear. Right, I can see where the confusion is. Right, the reason why using, again, this is why I'm saying understand it. The reason why you use the highest gear, because it's weak. You don't want power on ice and snow, because the question says, what will help you move off a weak gear so you don't slip and slide, i.e. wheel spin. If you use the lowest gear on the manual, it's power, first and second gear power gear, so you don't want to be using that on ice and snow. So that's the reason why it's this one. Bring that down. Let me get rid of this so you can see. Right, so it's question 11. What should you do when you're going through a contraflow system on the motorway? So I'm going to just move this back up so I can put the comments on. Really love the Puma and the Cougar and the EcoSport, and cheers for the advice. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I wish you luck with getting anyone. Like I said, if you're getting second hand, there's lots of them out there, and it's your buyer's market with that. But if you're looking brand new, you may have to wait a long time because they are struggling to get the cars in from abroad. I'm new to the live section, but I've been following other months and watching your videos. Well, welcome, first of all. Very welcome. Thank you for watching the videos. I appreciate the support. Doreen, I've been called a lot worse. I passed my favourite test. Thanks for your help in your videos. No problem. You are welcome. And thank you for coming to the live. Let me know. Solomon, my person. 46 out of 50. Again, thank you for coming to the live. I've not seen your name before, so welcome. You guys breaking your silence to say thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate that as well. I think this is my last one. I'm up to date. I'm from the US and driving there 20 years, but now live in the UK for almost a year now and scheduled for my driving test soon, but very nervous about the test due to old US driving habits. Let me come back to that. And let me just catch up with the number 11s. Right, so I've got B's on here. Let's do this. Let's see. No problem, you're welcome. Hopefully I'll see you Wednesday. All right. B is what you guys are going for. Yeah, keep a good distance because it's roadworks technically. This is a dual carriageway contraflow. So the crash barrier, a definition of a dual carriageway, just in case you don't know, is the crash barrier, central reservation in the middle. It's been opened up because of roadworks, so you're going up. Contra for the theory test means going against the flow of traffic. So traffic is going on the wrong side of the road going up, and there'll be traffic coming down on the right hand side. So that's why they reduce the speed limit from 70 to 30. You want to keep a good distance just in case someone does something stupid and brakes heavily. That's why the answer is what it is. Right. What advice should you give to a driver who has had a few alcoholic drinks at a party? Right, so from the US. I'm from the US. So you said you're scheduled for your driving test soon, so that must mean you're past your theory test. Because you can't book a driving test without it. But very nervous about the test due to old US driving habits. Again, like I said before, nerves is a good thing. If my student turns up on test day and told me they are not nervous, it makes me nervous because I've got to ask myself why. Nerves is a good thing as long as it does not control you. I've taught over the years a lot of students from the US. The only issue is that technically you guys don't have roundabouts, which I found teaching US students, they struggle with roundabouts. Obviously, you guys don't have it. The driving test is very, very flexible now. Back when I first started, it was very rigid. So there's a lot of leeway for bad habits as long as the car stays safe and stays in control. That's the most important thing. I'm hoping that you are taking driving lessons, because if you're taking driving lessons, then your instructor can guide you in terms of what habits can stay. Because if you was my student, I wouldn't be changing everything. I just change the things the examiner will not accept. But like I said, the driving test is very, very flexible. The only problems I had with a US student over the years is you guys struggled with roundabouts and obviously stick shift. We call it manual, you guys call it stick shift. I don't know if you're doing auto or doing manual. But if you're doing auto, then it doesn't really matter because you're used to that. But if you're doing stick shift, then it does make a difference. But yeah, nerves is a good thing. I wouldn't really worry if you're taking driving lessons because, like I said, the instructor should be able to guide you on that. But in my experience, US students tend to be all right on the day. The road's a bit narrower because you guys have got wider roads, but outside of that, it's not really a big issue. So, like I said, drum test is flexible. Just keep it safe, keep it controlled, keep your nerves in check. So I wish you luck with that. If you've got any questions about your driving test, type it in. Let's discuss that as well. Interesting. Let me know what you're doing though. Are you doing manual or auto? Because what I noticed as well when I taught American students, they all went for manual, not auto, which is weird. All gone for A. Yeah, don't do it. Just go home by public transport. This one's a massive one. Let's bring it down. What's the meaning of this traffic sign? Could you explain more contraflow and with flow? Contraflow is going against the flow of traffic. So they normally show you the one with the bus. You got two arrows on the right going up. Again, follow the image with the arrows going up. And the bus has got an arrow underneath. That's contra. Contra is going against the flow. So if it's got an arrow under the bus or the bike, it's contraflow bus lane or contraflow cycle lane. The other questions, where would you see it? It's a one-way road, one-way street. With flow is no arrows. The bus is going up with the flow of traffic and the cycle is going up with the flow of traffic. So contra is going against the flow, and with flow is going with the flow of traffic, if that makes sense. Yeah, well, if that's the case, then it's like I said, it's a buyer's market with the cars out there. So hopefully you can get a good deal. Well, 50 out of 50. Well done to you, the magical 50. And 70 out of 75 has perception. Well done. Congratulations. Thank you for letting me know. So you got the 50. Hard to achieve that, but well done to you. Right, so it looks like you guys agreed on the B's. No problem, you're welcome. And B is the common answer. You have priority over oncoming vehicles. So as I said earlier on, if you look at your images, you're going up with your images from bottom to top. So you're going up with the white arrow because we drive on the left. Because it's bigger, you have priority over oncoming vehicles is correct. What does this sign mean? I'm watching 2 times before my exam and I failed fairy test 40 out of 50, 67, that's 67. Right, hazard perception is sorted. 40, that means you got 10 questions wrong. And if you got 10 questions wrong, that would suggest you got 6, 7, and maybe even 8 categories wrong. So that suggests there's a lack of knowledge across the board. So what I would suggest you do, start with the categories you got questions wrong in and restudy those, and then start to do mock tests again to make sure those categories don't come up again as a weakness. If it does, you still study those categories. But if you've got 10 questions wrong on the real test, like I said, out of the categories, you would have got, if you've got the paperwork, it's easy, just check it. Just look at the paperwork. You would have got at least, I would say 7 categories, maybe 8. And considering there's only 14 categories, it's almost half the categories or more. That suggests there's a lack of knowledge across the board. So you just need to freshen that up. And then once you've done that, go again. So that's my advice. There's just lack of understanding there somewhere along the line. But as I said earlier on, you've got data, so that's definitely what you want to explore. Right, you guys are going for D. They, again, be careful with the wording. As long as it's brown, exactly. As long as it's brown, it's going to be tourist. They can use, on this one, they got tourist attraction. It could be tourist information, tourist directions. As long as it's got the word tourist in it, it's going to be correct. But like I said, they can change the last bit, attraction, information, or direction on the real one. You're waiting to turn right out of a minor road. It's clear to the left, but a lorry's coming from the right. Why should you wait, even if you have enough time to turn? I think I'm up to date with all the comments. So if you guys got any questions, type it in before we sign out. But Q semicolon about your theory or driving wise. Here's the first ones. So B is the common answer. Yeah, the trailer could be hiding cyclists, motorbikes, so make sure the lorry's committed to his turn out the way so you've got a clear view of the road. You're driving on an open road in dry weather. What distance should you keep from the vehicle in front? Where is contraflow found? One of the questions from our theory test. Contraflow is found on a one-way road because contra's going against the flow. So the bus, you're going up the one way, the bus is going the other way. So you find it on a one-way road, one-way street, depending on how they want to word it. Past your theory test last week, 43 out of 50, 64. 64 is a high, 43. I would congratulations on passing, first of all. Thank you for letting me know. Appreciate it. If it was my student, I would just say just double check the categories, and if road signs and rules of the road is on there, just brush up on that because you're going to need that information for your driving. You don't want your knowledge to be weak on that, but congratulations on passing. Do you teach PDIs or you don't? No, I don't teach PDIs. What are we talking about? When you say PDIs, what are we talking about? The theory side of it or the driving or the teaching? Because you know there's 3 parts to the driving instructor's exam. So what bit are you talking about? I don't teach it, but the question is what bit you're talking about. If it's the theory side of it, you probably know already if you're studying for a PDI. The 4-in-1 app just changed the questions in the settings to ADI questions. But I personally don't teach that. But what section are you actually talking about though? Does that have interest? And you want to become a driving instructor as well. So you guys have gone for A on this. Luscious love, you're always late. But you're right, because you've already passed now. But how is things? How are you? You guys are going for A. 2-second gap. It doesn't tell you on this. It just says you're driving on an open road in dry weather. What distance should you keep from the vehicle in front? At 40 miles an hour or more, it should be a 2-second gap. If it's wet, it's 4 seconds. If it's ice and snow, it's up to 10 times longer. If you're driving in a built-up area, as in 30 miles an hour or less, you leave a safe gap to stop in. Well, it didn't say here, it just says, didn't say more than 40 miles an hour. But that's the basic rule, more than 40 miles an hour. So when you guys do your driving test, for example, the examiner will be looking at your distance when you do a faster speed, because you will do a faster speed on your driving test. Which signs means no stopping? Remember, if you guys got any questions, don't be afraid to ask them. Just type a QC in the comments, that makes it easy for me to see it. And we can discuss and remove any doubts or concerns that you guys may have. I'm glad you are well. You guys all agreeing on this, so all gone for B. The ferry part. Let me just come back to that now. Have a conversation with you with that. 17B. What's the question? 95% of red circles are no's. So if you didn't know what the answer was, just work backwards. I always say to my students, if you don't know what the answer is, work backwards. Get rid of the answer it cannot be. Then even if you're going to guess after that, at least you're guessing with 1 in 3 rather than 1 in 4. So you get rid of that. Get rid of the national speed limit. Get rid of C, and then you're left with the 3. 95% of red circles are no. So these are all no's. This is no motor cars. This is no overtaking, and this is your no stopping. That's why it's B. Just in case you guys didn't know that. So 95% of red circles are no's. You're driving along a motorway and switch on adaptive cruise control. What are you now allowed to do? So you're doing the theory part. The only thing I could recommend, there's 2 ways of doing that. One is, and I'm assuming you're already doing this, if you're using the apps, you want to change the questions to ADI, and that's why I recommend the 4-in-1, because it has everything in there for everyone. HGVs, motorcycles and everything else. You need to read books, by the way. If you're doing the ADA part, ADI or PDI part, you have to read books. The app is not going to cut it. When I learned to be a driving instructor, there wasn't even apps out then. There was 7 books we had to read, which I can't even remember now. But you're looking for the highway code, you need to read that. The driving essential skills. It's a massive thick book. You have to read that. Because the reason why your test is different, your test is 100 questions, and you need to average, it's 4 bands, A, B, C, D. You need to average 85 in each band, I believe, or 80 in each band and 85 overall. The apps is not going to do it for you on that. You need to read the training material as well. What I would recommend if you're looking for a trainer is to jump on Facebook, type in PDI. There's lots of groups out there, and jump in the groups, and those guys in there who are instructors will help you and guide you with that. But an app is not going to do it on its own. And even if it did, your knowledge is still going to be weak, because you are definitely going to need to use the theory part for the driving part, and you're going to definitely need to use the theory part for the instruction part 2, the driving, part 3 for instruction. So if your theory is weak, your part 2 is going to collapse and your part 3 is going to collapse. So I would definitely try to find an instructor who specializes in that and going to help you with that. But I repeat, you need the books, the training material. The apps alone is not going to do it, not if you want to qualify. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. Just find the 18s. Mia, good morning to you. Welcome. Congratulations on passing 46 out of 50, 65. Congratulations on passing. I've not seen you name before, so welcome first and foremost. And thank you for breaking the silence. Come in. 18. Right, you guys are going for A. Seem to be agreeing on this one. Adaptive cruise control. It's just a button that you hit and it just keeps you at 70 miles an hour. So you just cruise at 70 miles an hour. It's nothing special. Someone's gone for a B. Thank you for the advice, no problem. Right. Check the road signs. Yeah, because technically you're not squeezing the gas pedal as such, you just adapt it and it stays at 17 miles an hour automatically. So you've got more time to look for road signs rather than squeezing pedals and all the rest of it. That's what that means. But yeah, it's nothing special. Just cars has a cruise control. You can even set it at 30 miles an hour. And if you're driving in a built up area and just keeps it, you can't go more than 30. That's what it does. Question numbers, right. You're driving in traffic at the speed limit for the road. What should you do if a driver behind you is trying to overtake? Where do I learn about the documents part of the theory? I'm using the 4-in-1 app in the category section. The 4-in-1 has all the categories, all 14 of them. Documents is one of the smaller ones. It's 27 questions in the documents, but it's in the 4-in-1 app. What about rain, ice, snow, foggy? I've answered that one. Rain is 4 seconds. Fog doesn't come into play. Ice is 10 times more. No problem. Like I said, I'm not seeing your name before, so I'm glad you broke the... Not well, if you haven't been here before, you haven't broken the silence, but thank you for commenting and let me know that you passed. Appreciate it. Because I know the stuff is helping people then. And you guys are going for C. Right, you guys are all agreed on this one, so it's gone for C. Hello, welcome. Yeah, it could be unmarked police. That's the reason why you just keep a steady course or slow down and let them overtake. On the real test, it can say slow down, move to the left, allow them to overtake. So it could be unmarked police. You're travelling in the left-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic driving from a slip road? Martin, if you're still here, have you done the theory test before? Have you done the part 1 before? Or are you just studying for it? What about a signal with a line? Can you please explain? I don't know, what do you mean by a signal with a line? Rebecca, I don't know what you mean by that. What about a signal with a line? Can you please... I don't know what that means. You need to give me a little bit more info than a signal with a line. What signal are we talking about? What line are we talking about? I think I've done that. Correct. What number are we on? 20 already. I've got a B. Right, common answer is D, but I've got a B on there. What's that one? B. What's B? Right, when we do the study camp on when do we do motorways? We do motorways on Tuesday. So we do Tuesday. We do motorways. This question comes up, and the common answer is B, maintain a steady speed. First of all, you got to ask yourself, what's the theory test about? Safety and control. If you look at the answer, it's got safely in it. If on your theory test, if it's got the words safe, safely, safety, safer in the answer, you have to shortlist as a possible. It doesn't always work, but if it's got those type of words in it, you have to shortlist as a possible. The reason why it's not B, because if you maintain a steady speed and you are going to crash, that's what you're saying. I'm going to crash, but I'm going to still keep my speed the same. The correct answer says adjust your speed. In other words, you can speed up to get past the car without breaking the speed limit, or you can slow down to allow the car to come in. And then it also says if you can do so safely. And that's the reason why it's that answer. So you adapt your speed based on what's going on. But if you maintain your speed, you're going to crash, you're going to crash. So that was the 20th question. If you listen to what I said at the beginning, for those of you that was at the beginning, your test is made up of 14 different categories. When you do the real test, 50 questions, you will get all 14 categories, even if it's just one question from that category. In this situation, wow, look at that, road and traffic signs, 8 in a 20 question mock test. 10. There's 10 categories here. And road and traffic signs, we've got 8. When you take your real test, if there's 10 of you in the room, it's 10 different tests. 50 questions, yes. 57 minutes, yes. But no 2 tests are the same. It's random. And this is why I say do the category. So where we got 8 questions on this one, somebody sitting next to you may only get 2 questions. Somebody sitting next to them may get 3 questions on the road and traffic signs. And that's why I say your categories needs to be strong, because you don't know where your questions are going to be drawn from. So if road and traffic signs was your weaker category, you now have a chance of failing, because if you got all 8 wrong, you're down to 42. So that's the reason why I suggest you do all the categories individually, then do mock tests before you even think about going for the real test. But you can see here 10 categories, and on a 20 question you got 8 for road signs. So hopefully that makes sense. Someone asked me a question, so let me just do that. I'm hoping to get a used automatic car. Any ideas on a good one? No, I don't do automatics. I don't drive automatics. And even if I did, I couldn't advise you, because a car is personal. What I suggest you do is jump online and type in whatever car you're looking for, 3 to 5 cars, manufacturers, different manufacturers, and then narrow it down to about 3 that you really like the look of. And then I would go to the car showroom and go sit in it. If you can get a test drive in it, even better. Because remember, once you buy a car, technically you're stuck with it for at least 3 years. And most people keep their cars for at least 3 to 5 years. So if it's a wrong choice, you're stuck with it. So that's why I don't give advice on cars like that. It's personal. So that's what I would do. Just literally jump online, do it from home, comfort of your home, type in whatever car you like, then go to the car showroom, get a test drive as well, and see what it feels like. But I wish you luck with that. I'm struggling. I got 38, 36. I'm assuming it's 38 for the questions and 36 for has perception. I don't know what you're saying with that's a real test. I don't know why it's down there. I don't know if that's for a real test or just for doing mock tests. If it's mock test, it's not a problem. That's what mock tests are for, to improve. But if that's your real test, that's a lack of understanding. You don't know the questions, is a lack of, you don't understand the questions or answers, and you don't know what hazard perception is. Hazard perception. You don't know what a hazard is. Hazard perception is the videos, but you don't know what a hazard is, hence why you got 36. That's just practice now. But that's a real test, you got data. So if you got 12 questions wrong, that's a lot of categories. 12 questions wrong will tally to about 9 categories, maybe even 10. And that's definitely a lack of knowledge. So my advice, that's going back to the drawing board. You need to go back to each category in turn and re-study the categories to bring that knowledge up. But this is for all of you. When you are studying and you're getting questions wrong, you need to understand why you got the question wrong. What you guys do is look at the right answer and just try to memorize it for the next time. That's the wrong way to go. You need to understand why you chose the wrong answer and why it doesn't make sense, because now the brain can eliminate that because it understands why it's wrong, so it shouldn't pick it again. And then you look at the correct answer, understand why the answer is correct, so the brain understands it, so it now picks the right answer. You guys look at the right answer. Yeah, I remember that for next time. And like I said, when you go for the real test, it's worded differently. You know what the result is. Jamie, well done to you. Congrats. 49, missed it by 1. Ooh, just scraped the hazard perception, but a pass is a pass. Well done to you. Thank you for coming to the live and let me know how you got on. Appreciate that. Well done. More light on traffic lights. Please, can you give more light on traffic lights? Give me a bit more than that, because I've already done traffic lights today as well already. So give me a bit more what you want on that, because traffic lights is a broad question. So give me a bit more if you want more detailed information rather than general. But if you want general, watch the replay back, because I've already done traffic lights. So, and you know, I love automatic cars. Everyone said, oh, each. I'm a manual, always will be a manual. I've taught automatic over the years. I found it boring. Yeah, just don't like them. So that's just me, but everyone's got their choices. That's what life is about. I've attempted and failed 3 times. This has seriously discouraged me, but I've booked the 4th attempt on the 28th. 28th, that's end of the month, but I'm going to extend it towards the end of next month. As I said, if you have taken it 3 times and failed it 3 times, I can't even say there's data there, because you're looking to do a driving instructor's exam. That knowledge has to stick, because you're passing that on to your students while the car's in motion as well. It's not something you can pull up and then think about it and then relay the information. Sometimes you have to talk to your student while the car's in motion and discuss the theory. That's why your knowledge has to be solid. But if you have done the 3 attempts literally just using the apps, that's part of the reason why you're failing. Is it possible to pass with just apps? Yes, but should you be doing that with apps? No, because like I said, you need to read the highway code. You have to read the highway code. You have to read the driving essential skills. My advice after this is jump onto Google and type in something along the lines of study materials for driving instructors, and it should give you the reading list of that, because there's a lot more than just studying apps for a driving instructor. And even if you did pass with just apps, trust me, on your driving test part, because your driving test is longer than the learners, as well as an hour, the examiner's watching you apply the theory to the letter on your driving test. And then when you come to teach, you have to make sure the words you are using are correct for your part 3, because if the wording is wrong, he's going to mark you down on that. I remember on my check test, when my last check test, I made a mistake with the wording and he took a mark off me, which still hurts to this day. And so I got, what did I get? 50 out of 51 for my grades, and all because I used a wrong word on my test. So like I said, you have to be a lot tighter than any learner does. So I would go back to like I said, Google study material for driving instructors. It should give you a reading list, and do that. That's my best advice I can give you on that. But I wish you luck with the next attempt though. Keep going. The profession is a nice profession. It's rewarding, but it is hard to get past for each one in turn. With the theory test, as you now know, obviously because you've done it 3 times, you can take it as many times as you need to pass. But once you get into the system now for part 2, you only got 3 attempts on part 2 and 3 attempts on part 3. If you don't do it within a 2-year period, you're back to square one, the theory test again. So take that into consideration. I want to ask if there's a limit on the number of clicks I can do on the hazard perception, because I heard that if you overclick, you can get an automatic 0, please. Let me come back to that because we're going to do hazard perception in a second. What's the advantage of using voiceover? I recommend voiceover for students who struggles to read. If you've got dyslexia, I wouldn't do it. I've got dyslexia, but I wouldn't do it because I'm visual. I need to see the words, even though I mess up the words sometimes. So if you've got dyslexia or a learning disability in terms of words, I would do voiceover because it's read to you. You can have it read as many times as you want through the headphones. But if you're capable of reading, read it. The only thing I would say as well with voiceover, if you are going to do voiceover, practice at home. What you don't want to do is practice reading at home and then you go and do something different on the day, as in do voiceover. The practice at home is exactly what you should be doing in the real test. So if you're taking your time at home, you should take the time in a real test. If you do voiceover at home, you should do voiceover in a real test. You shouldn't be changing anything on the day, because now the brain is going to stress because it's not used to doing something different. No power steering. You got to be of age. If there's no power steering, you're of age, because when I learned to drive, there was no power steering. It's so hard work to turn a wheel. Don't I need more understanding on ESC? No, you don't. You need to know what it stands for. It stands for electronic stability control. So they will ask you what does ESC stands for. They give you 4 different options of different ESCs. It stands for electronic stability control. You do not need to know how it works. You just need to know what it stands for. I repeat, it stands for electronic stability control. I will tell you how it works though. It's onboard computer. All modern day cars or newer cars have it. So if it senses, the computer senses one of the wheels or more is not stable with the tarmac in any shape or form, it makes it happen. That's all it does. So the car makes those wheels stay stable in contact with the tarmac. So you can't race around corners on 2 wheels like you see in those films from back in the day. But I repeat, you just need to know what it stands for. Electronic stability control. I can't answer that because you're saying, oh, I saw a new question where it's a brown sign. If it's brown, it's tourist. It doesn't make a difference. They can't give you more than one different sign. They can give you the train, beach, castle, whatever they want to in it. But as long as it's a brown background, you're going for tourist blank. Tourist information, tourist attraction. So that's what I'm saying. If it's used to beach, so it'd be a tourist attraction they would use on that. So I repeat, if it's a brown sign, you're going for tourist blank, which means tourist attraction, tourist direction, or tourist information. If it's brown, just go for the one that's got tourist. This is my 8 times, but I continue it. English is not my first language, but I'm going to make it. If English is not your first language, there's 2 things you can do. Google the understanding or AI. So any words you don't understand, just AI it, Google it, so you have an understanding. My advice as well would be go for the Theory Test Pro app, because you can change the language to your language in it. Because I use the Theory Pro for my students in the study camp. So if you download the Theory Test Pro, sign up for their subscription, you can change the language to your language and it makes it easier to understand, and then obviously you'll understand the translation back to English, so that can help you as well. So hopefully I'll give that information. No problem, you're welcome. Got my test in 3 days. Do I do lots of mock or practice questions? No. If you've got a mock test in 3 days, you doing lots of mocks suggests you're not ready for a test. The question is, why would you do lots of mocks if your test is in 3 days? You should be ready by now. You just want to do 1 or 2 here and there just to make sure your score stays on par. You doing lots of mock tests is not going to change anything in 3 days. So technically you should be ready by now and just do the odd mock here and there. Or brush up on anything that you're weak on. If you feel like you're weak on documents, then restudy those documents. Doing lots of mocks just suggests you're cramming, and you shouldn't be cramming with the test in 3 days' time. Yeah, I totally agree. Like I said, when I learned to drive, there's no powers. There wasn't even electric windows back then. You had to wind them down. No problem, you're welcome. I paid for the app, but it's not working this time for me. I don't know what app you paid for. You just said I paid for the app. If it's not working, then contact the app customer service. Let's not discuss age, yeah? All right, let me do hazard perception because I'm up to date. I just want to come back to this one. Where are you? Right, comment question. First of all, hazard perception is 14 videos, 13 of them have single hazards. One of them's got a double, 2 5s. Hazard is anything that's going to call you to slow down or change direction. So if you are watching the video and you feel, hold on a minute, I need to squeeze the brake or turn the steering wheel, you should be clicking. What they don't tell you on the videos or on the explanation, because they say click early, you get more marks. If you click too early, you're going to get a 0. Click too late, you're going to get a 0. Your aim is to get a score. You have to see the hazard and get a score. That's what it's about, because you can see the hazard, click too early, get a 0, which means you're going to fail. So it's not about seeing a hazard, it's about getting a score for said hazard. Now, with this question here, is there a number of clicks per video? Yes, but every video is different. So if you are going to count your clicks, it's the wrong way of doing the hazard perception. You're wasting brain calories first and foremost. You should not be counting the amount of clicks per video. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. Click on things that exist, then you've got nothing to worry about. So if you do overclick, you will get a 0. And if you click in a rhythmic pattern, which means the click is kind of spaced out all the way through the videos, or a pattern of some kind, again, they will kick you out and give you a 0. But if you click on problems that exist, then it will not be too many clicks and it will not be a pattern. And what you need to do is click twice per problem. So every time you see a problem, you click, you count 1, 2, click again. That way, if the first click's too early, you should definitely get a 5 or a 4. If the first one was on point, a 5, then the second one's going to land in a 3 or the 2. They're not going to give you the lowest mark, they give you the highest mark. There is no benefit in clicking once per problem. You run the risk of failing. There's lots of benefits in clicking twice per problem. If you want to go for 3 clicks, click 1, 2, click again, 1, 2. That's fine as well, providing you're clicking on things that exist. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyone who's thinking about counting their clicks is the wrong way of doing it, wrong way of learning. So I'm going to do a demonstration for you guys. Let me just get my iPad out. Right, so let me share my screen first of all. iPad. Right, so let me just quickly show you the test sheet. This is a driving test report sheet. Make it larger. So when you do your driving test, you're going to get a copy of this, pass or fail. And so we just done the theory. On the theory was road and traffic signs 8. So if you look at box 17, that's the box traffic signs being marked in. So if you didn't know your traffic signs, that's the box the examiner will mark it in. Road markings, we had questions on traffic lights. That goes in that box. Traffic controllers would be, if you come across the signs with a flat palm, flat back hands, it's going to be there. Other road users are just cyclists and e-scooters. You had a question about following distance. If it's dry, what gap should you leave? Box 19 is following distance. You had a question about a lorry. If a lorry was turning left, blah, 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 and you was coming out, what should you do? And that comes under observation, box 21, observation. So you can see how your theory test is spread across the different boxes. Position, normal driving, staying left when possible. That motorway question, if cars are coming on the motorway, blah, 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 what should you do? Adjust your speed if it's safe to do so. That's the box it will come into. So that's your theory test there. And then there's a question about roundabouts, which came up a lot yesterday in the study camp. How should you signal to go straight ahead of the roundabout? No signal on approach, and signal after the exit you no longer need. That will come under signals, necessary, correctly or timed. If you've got that roundabout signal question, roundabouts on your driving test and done it all wrong, that's what it will come in. So hopefully you guys are now seeing how the theory is linked to your driving test. And if Martin is still here, like I said, you have to apply that knowledge in these situations while the car is moving to keep your pupils safe and your and other road users safe, because you can't tell them after the event, if that makes sense. You've got to tell them before it happens so it doesn't become dangerous. So hazard perception is use of mirrors before you signal, change of direction, change of speed. So if you didn't know, when you are clicking on your videos, it's the equivalent of you checking the mirrors. So when you jump in the car with your instructor, you see a problem, click, problem, click. They're trying to encourage you to see things nice and early so you stay calm. If you see things late, i.e. 2, 1, 0, you're panicking, and the brain is designed to protect you. So the first thing the brain's going to do is go for the brakes. So you don't know if it was safe to slow down anyway behind you. Seeing it early, the brain has time to check the mirrors to see how close the car is behind, and then can work out when to brake and how to brake. That's what it's about. So let me just make sure there's no comments on here. Right, so there's no comments on that. So let me shut this down and then go into hazard perception. So there's two types of clips, real life and CGIs. When you go for the real test, it's all CGIs. The scoring on the real life clips on some videos aren't on point. So if you do get low scores, it doesn't mean to say you've done anything seriously wrong. It could just be the videos out of sync. But if you're getting low scores on the CGIs, you want to be concerned because they are on point. So I'm going to do this one. There's no stars on this one. So let me just do this. The quality is poor, as you can see. So there's a bend coming up. So I'm going to click. Car's coming towards me, click. The car's parked up on the pavement, so I can't be a meter from the curb, so I have to come out. You can always look in the distance and work your way back. Pavement to pavement, because road signs are on the pavement. So there's nothing for me to click that I can see at the moment, even though the car's in the distance. Car coming towards me. They're on their side of the road, so I don't need to click. If the car was over the white line, I'd think about clicking. There's a junction coming up, but then there's nobody. Oh, there's a van there now, so I'll click. Then the road narrows up ahead because the car's on the pavement. Click. And 5 out of 5. So always review back to see if you can improve. Was the bend. Right, there you go. So there's my first click, which was really early, and there's my second click, which landed in the 5, and that's why you go for 2 clicks per problem. So if I saw the problem, I clicked, just left it at that, that's a 0, and that's the reason why you go for 2 clicks per problem, because you run the risk of getting a 0. It's not about seeing the hazard, it's about getting a score for the hazard you saw. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me just check to see if there's any comments on here that's related. No problem, you are definitely welcome, because like I said, I like people who want to come into the profession, so if I could help, I would. But like I said, I don't teach it, but my advice, like I said, is just Google the studying material. Let me just make it slightly bigger. For driving instructors, because like I said, the app isn't going to be enough. All right, since there's no other questions on this, let me do a CGI. Again, this one's got no stars. Let's do this one. Can't see around the bend, so always click what if there's something around there. What's the sign saying? Okay, lorry's coming towards me, so I'm going to click. Okay, remember, always scan from left to right, right to left, so you can pick up information early. It says slow down. The truck is parked up on the left. I can't be a meter from the curb, so I need to check my right door mirror and the car's reversing out of the driveway. Maybe I should have gone for 3 clicks on that one, to be fair. Pedestrian walking on the pavement. If the pedestrian was near the edge of the pavement, then I would click. But because they're near the wall or the hedge, don't need to click. No danger. 4 out of 5. So again, always review back. Let's just speed up for the sake of the video. So there's my first click of 4, and my second one landed in the 2. So like I said, there's no benefits in clicking once, lots of benefits in clicking twice, because they're not going to downgrade the score. Let's see if I could have got 5. It's not much. By the time I see it moving, I'm on the 4. Bit harsh, but 4, you need to average 3 or more. So as long as you're getting 4s and 5s, you're going to pass anyway. So it makes no difference if I got a 4 on that one. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know in the comment section before we sign out. Otherwise, we can call it a day. Yeah, what I would suggest you do with that though, don't worry about the marking form just yet. Focus on the theory side of it, because like I said, you can do that as many times as it takes to get you into the system. Because once you get onto the part 2, which is driving, then you want to think about the driving form. Because you only got 3 attempts on that, and you don't want to be wasting your attempts. I would suggest as well, when you get onto or what you can do hand in hand while you're studying for the theory side of it. So let me just come out of this one. So I'm going to take off your comment. Just change screens and put your comment back. Right. What I would suggest while you're doing the theory, if you're kind of committed to becoming a driving instructor, what I would do is you need to find a driving instructor who teaches part 2 as well, because you can't do it on your own. Trust me on that. And then you can do the 2 side by side, the theory and the driving, which will reinforce your theory as well. So when you pass the theory, you're good to go for the driving side of it. But the point I was making is, don't worry about the green form, just worry about passing the theory first. And then when you go into the part 2 driving, then you can think about the form, because you're going to need it for your driving and plus for your pupil's driving test. And another little tip, when you do qualify as a driving instructor, sit in the back of a car on as many driving tests as you can in the early stages. You understand how a driving test works. You'd be surprised how lax the driving test is and how many things you can kind of let go with your students, and rather than being strict, it has to be done A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. It's just relax. That's my advice for you once you qualify. Good morning, just joining your class now. Welcome, bit late, but welcome. Why not 3-click method, and what's the advantage of 2-click over 3? There's no advantage. I'm confident with my clicking. I've been teaching for years, so I'm confident with my clicking. So I know my 2 clicks will register. At any point, if I think I've messed up too early, whatever, I will go for a 3rd click, because as I said, it's about getting a score. It's not about anything else for me. It's just get a score. So if I have to do a 3rd click here and there, now and again, to make sure I get a score, I will do that. But I teach the 2-click method. If you want to teach the 3-click method, that's fine as well, as long as you're clicking on things that exist, because 3 clicks is not going to add up to too many. So like I said, I just teach 2, but I do teach, if you think you've messed up and you need a 3rd one just to make sure, go for a 3rd one, it's not a problem. Good morning, I've been watching and learning. I'm glad you've been doing that, so welcome to you. Online now, thank you so much. I passed driving theory 47, I'm assuming that's 47 out of 50 and 60. you are welcome. Thank you for coming to the live. Let me know. After this comes my test is on the 3rd of March. It's about 2 weeks. 23rd, 30th, about 2.5 weeks away. Been putting the best to my ability. Hopefully. I'm gonna triumph this time. Yeah, fingers crossed. Again, if you guys, when you're studying during the week as well, for all of you, got any questions that come up, jot them down, bring it to the live session. That's why I go live, so I can answer your personal questions, rather than a generic video going out every other week. Thank you for your class, no problems. All right, there's no other comments or questions on here. So if that's the case, I'm gonna wrap it up. Gonna take this down. Right, so whatever you guys, for those of you who got a test this week, I know some of you said you got a 16th, 17th and the 18th, so I wish you the best of luck with that. Please come back next week. Let us know how you got on with that. Again, like I said, for those of you studying during the week, jot your questions down, bring it to the live sessions. That's why I go live, to answer your personal questions. But most importantly, stay safe during the week. I'd like to see you guys back here next week. And I shall catch you next Sunday. So take care.